Good morning.
Mm.
Oh, everybody sounds so happy on a Monday morning at 10 something. Uh, all right, so we're going to go ahead and ask Monica to call roll.
Tanya Fairley,
Present.
Amy Fong,
Present.
Anthony Bertram, Michelle Edgar, Megan Ellis,
Present.
Yolanda Jimenez,
Present.
Steve Weeks,
Present.
Nikki Miller,
Present.
Mary Munoz,
Present.
Holly Mayfam,
Present.
Marla Melly, absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Monica. Well, again, happy Monday, everyone. And thank you for everyone who's joining us in person and those that are listening online. Please note that public comments will be limited to 3 minutes and the board will not be able to respond to your comments. I also wanted to make special mention that today is Kelly Funk's last board meeting with us. And I would like to say thank you, Kelly, for serving as vice president for the last year. I've appreciated you. And good luck to you and what's next. And you will be missed.
Thank you. I have a little something I wrote. Can I say it now?
Yeah, turn your microphone.
Thank you, Tanya. I wrote a little something because this is bittersweet. I've really been grateful to be on this board and to serve my industry that I love as a practicing esthetician. And so I wrote a little something. It has been a true privilege to serve as this board's esthetician for the past 4 years. I'd like to encourage my fellow licensees to respond to the board's calls for collaboration and to participate in discussions whenever possible. The board is structured with equal representation from industry members and public members, and that balance only works when the licensees actively engage. I want to extend a sincere and heartfelt thank you to Tanya Fairley for nominating me and for the opportunity to serve alongside her this past year. I'd like to acknowledge Monica and the board staff for keeping things running so smoothly. I'd like to close with this. Estheticians are trusted partners in maintaining skin health and supporting consumer confidence. Over the years, ingredient transparency has increased, consumers have become more educated, and expectations have risen. At the same time, our testing standards have shifted with the removal of the practical examination, and I would welcome thoughtful efforts to help close that gap so the preparedness of the esthetician and the expectation of the consumer remain aligned. Thank you again. I look forward to remaining available as an advisor moving forward.
Thank you, Kelly. Again, we appreciate you and your service for this year and the last 4 years. Moving on to agenda item 3, I would also like to welcome Shelley Jones, Assistant Deputy Director of Board and Bureau Relations, as she will be providing the update for today. Where is Shelley? Oh, there she is. I was like, wait, where is she?
Good morning.
Morning.
As mentioned, my name is Shelley Jones and I'm with the department's Board and Bureau Relations. And I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to join you today to share some information from the department. On behalf of the executive team, we're excited to share that Chief Deputy Director Christine Lawley has been named the Acting Director for the Department of Consumer Affairs. She enters this role following the retirement of DCA Director Kimberly Kirkmeyer. Director Lawley brings extensive experience to the position, having served in multiple leadership roles within the department since 2013. She will lead DCA in this position until a director is formally appointed by the governor's office. Last year, Governor Newsom took action to assist licensees affected by the Los Angeles fires and swiftly issued an executive order to allow a 1-year postponement of license renewal fees that were due for renewal between January and June of 2025 for survivors impacted by the fires. Last month, DCA began sending notices to licensees who chose this postponement option with a reminder about the 1-year postponement and renewal fee due dates. Licensees with license types in the Breeze system can pay these renewal fees through their online account and those with license types that are not in the BREEZE system may submit their payments via mail. We've reported previously on the governor's reorganization plan. As you all may be aware, last year, Governor Newsom released his proposed 2025-26 state budget, which included a proposal to split DCA's oversight agency, the Business Consumer Services and Housing Agency, into two new state agencies. They would be called the California Housing and Homelessness Agency and the Business and Consumer Services Agency. After public hearings and review by the Little Hoover Commission, the governor's reorganization plan was enacted on July 5th of 2025. And as such, the new Business and Consumer Services Agency will become operative on July 1st of 2026 and will be responsible for consumer affairs, licensing, and enforcement. And DCA will be among the 8 departments within this new agency. DCA is continuing to participate in multiple work groups on the logistics required to transition to the new agency, and we will be keeping board and bureau leadership apprised throughout the several months ahead to implementation. Just a couple travel reminders. To best serve the public, it is incumbent upon all of us to ensure that we are being fiscally prudent in our decisions, especially when traveling for board business. DCA would like to remind members and staff to evaluate if rental cars are always necessary versus ride-sharing services. Carpooling is also highly encouraged when renting vehicles. We know that there may be new travel costs that board members are experiencing, such as luggage charges, so please keep receipts to ensure that you can be reimbursed for those. Kicking off a new year, wanted to remind everybody about our Form 700 Statement of Economic Interest filing requirements. These forms must be filed within 30 days of assuming or leaving your appointment and annually by April 1st. This year's annual filing period will cover the prior calendar year from January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. The deadline for filing is Wednesday, April 1st. And to ensure compliance, DCA is requesting that filers complete the e-filing by Friday, March 20th. Board members must file, as a reminder, through FPPC's online portal. No longer using the net file system, and paper copies will not be accepted. You should have received an email from FPPC with instructions on how to file your annual form. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to us at Board and Bureau Relations and we'll help you with that. A few training updates. Unconscious bias training has been developed specifically for board members. This training will be added to members' LMS accounts and incorporated into the onboarding process for all newly appointed board members. Our annual president's training will be taking place tomorrow, February 24th, from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. This is a virtual training for board presidents and vice presidents and serves as a forum to share best practices for presiding over a board. If you have not yet done so, please register online using the LMS system. And for board member orientation, we have established our 2026 training dates. Board member orientation, as a reminder, is an all-day training that we offer, and it will be this year on April 1st, June 24th, and October 21st. This training must be completed by members within 1 year of appointment and reappointment to the board. And you can register for the first available date to make sure that you're in compliance on the learning management system. If you have any questions or need assistance with any of these or other trainings or our learning management system, you can reach out to us at memberrelations@dca.ca.ca. Memberrelations@dca.ca.gov. It's a mouthful. So that's all I have today. In closing, thank you again for all of your efforts and time in protecting California consumers. And Kelly Funk, it's been a pleasure to have you on the board. We're sad to see you go. Good luck in all your future endeavors.
I have a question. Is now the appropriate moment?
No, you should wait your turn.
That's not me. Yeah.
You know, thank you, Shelley. Yes, Steve, do you have, anybody have any questions? Steve is up first.
Here we go. DCA, obviously, I understand generally how DCA works and apparently works pretty well. Other than the bureaus, the 8 bureaus that you have in there, how large is the staffing of DCA?
That is a question I honestly don't know the answer to.
I mean, is it a large?
Several thousand from my, I believe
Oh,
so.
my goodness.
I don't actually know our staffing population, but I believe it's in several thousand.
I think it's about 3,500.
Okay.
That's good backup for the agent, for the boards to have that kind of knowledge and be able to get to you. Good, okay.
Yep.
Right.
And if we are here to help in any way possible. If you need assistance with anything, you can reach out to us and we'll put you in touch with the proper centralized service units and do whatever we can to help you out.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Shelley. We appreciate it. I will now open up to public comment in person. No public comment? Okay. We will now open up to public comment online.
All right, WebEx, now is the time to raise a hand if you'd like to make a comment on the DCA report. You can do that by tapping the hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. As stated previously, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak, and I'll give you a 15-second warning before your time expires. We're going to take just a few more seconds to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Shelley. All right, moving on to agenda item number 4, annual election of officers. I would like to ask the board for any nominations for board president.
I would like to nominate, let me turn my mic on here. So far, I've hogged the first part of this meeting. Okay, is it already on? Okay, now we go. Okay. I would like to nominate Tanya Fairley as president of our board.
I second.
Will you accept?
I accept. Thank you, Steve.
Gosh.
Do you
I'd
wish-
like to nominate Danielle Munoz as the vice president of a board.
Is that what happens next?
For, now that we have a motion and a second, and Tanya has so graciously accepted the duty again, as we have to make sure she's willing to serve. We'll make sure we go out for public comment and any more board discussion on the president. Make sure we don't have any more nominations for president, and then we'll do our vote, and then we'll move to our next office, but we'll come right back to you, I promise. That's okay. We got it.
Do we have any other nominations for board president? Are there any public comments on the motion of board president?
Put that on the record, Fred. And online as well.
And moderator, we are open to public comment on the nomination of board president.
All right, WebEx, now is the time to raise a hand if you wish to make a comment. You can do that by tapping the hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no requests, you wish to continue with the motion?
Yes. We're gonna do a vote.
Tanya Fairley. Kelly Funk.
Yes.
Jenny Bertram. Michelle Egger. Megan Miller.
Yes.
Dr. Yolanda Pinson,
Yes.
Nika Miller.
Yes.
Danielle Munoz.
Yes.
Hallie Mayfam.
Yes.
Steve Weeks.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, guys. I want to say it is an honor and privilege to be able to serve you another term. This first year was definitely a great learning year, and today would have been the time for me to run for the hills. But thank you. I'm excited to serve another year. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So now the nominations are open for board vice president.
I would like to nominate Ms. Danielle Munoz for the vice president.
I
And I
second.
second. Oh,
Yeah.
I second. We all second.
Unanimous seconds.
Can I add a little something?
Let's make sure she'll accept first. Would you accept that?
I will accept.
Yay. Danielle, you lead with grace. You speak with a smile. You are unbiased. I am just honored to have you leading this industry. Great job. Thank you.
All right, so now, yeah. Oh. Are there any other nominations for vice president? No? Okay, any public comment on the nomination for vice president? Moderator, we can open up to the public comment online.
WebEx, now's the time to raise a hand for the nomination of Vice President. If you'd like to make a comment, tap that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise your hand. We're going to take just a moment longer to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, do you wish to continue with the motion?
Yes, thank you. Monica?
Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
Lily Funk,
Yes.
Anthony Bertram, Michelle Edgar, Megan Ellis, Dr. Yolanda Jimenez.
Yes.
Tamika Miller,
Yes.
Neil Munoz,
Yes.
Callie Mayfan,
Yes.
Steve Weeks.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Yay. All right. Before we move to, right? Moving right now. Before we move to agenda item number 5, I wanted to address one more thing. Colette Kavanaugh has completed her term serving on the board, and I would also want to take the moment to thank her for her service, which is why she's not here today. Yes, all right. All right, thank you, Monica. Moving on to agenda item 5, review and possible approval of 2026 board member guidelines and procedure manual. I was gonna say Christy just that fast. Marcy, you're up.
Ready? Okay. So, good morning, everyone. So for the update for the board member guidelines, we've updated the addition to the 2026 edition. And then we just have a couple of other changes. We reorganized the standing committees listed so that they're in alphabetical order. We updated the defensive driver training link so you can get to the right place when you need to take that. Super important. And we also, another important thing, updated the travel reimbursement rates for your mileage from 67 cents per mile to 72.5 cents per mile. All right, that's all the updates for that. They need to be approved.
No, I gotta find my notes.
Yeah.
Do we have a motion to approve?
This is Callie Mayfam. I move to approve the 2026 Board Member Guidelines and Procedures Manual.
And I second Tanya Fairley. And Monica? No, do we? Oh, I want this over, huh? Is there any public comment on the agenda item, public comment on the approval of the 2026 board members guideline and procedure? No public comment. Moderator, open for public comment online.
WebEx, now's the time to raise a hand for agenda item 5. If you'd like to make a comment, tap that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you. Monica, now we ask that you call roll.
Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
Danielle Munoz,
Yes.
Anthony Bertram, Michelle Edgar, Megan Ellis,
Yes.
Lily Funk,
Yes.
Dr. Yolanda Jimenez,
Yes.
Tamika Miller,
Yes.
Callie Mayfan,
Yes.
Steve Weeks.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. Next on the, 1 second. Okay, next up is, we need a motion to approve the November 17, 2025 board member minutes.
First, does anybody have any edits or any other suggested changes to those minutes?
Okay.
By motion to approve the minutes from November 17th, 2025.
Thank you.
This is Danielle. I second.
Thank you. I will now open up to public comment in person. No public comment. Moderator, please open to public comment online.
All right, WebEx, we are open for public comment on agenda item 6. If you'd like to make a comment, tap that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, do you wish to continue with the motion?
Yes, thank you, moderator. Monica, please call roll.
Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
Danielle Munoz,
Yes.
Anthony Bertrand, Michelle Edgar, Megan Ellis,
Yes.
Lily Funk,
Yes.
Dr. Yolanda Jimenez,
Yes.
Tamika Miller,
Yes.
Hallie Mayfam,
Yes.
Steve Weeks.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Monica. Moving on to agenda item 7, I will now hand it over to Carrie.
Good morning. Today for our administration and operations update, we have filled our vacant administration and operations unit supervisor 1 with Emily Whaley. She's returning to us and we're happy to have her back. We have 1 current vacancy, which is an analyst 3 or SSM1 specialist to serve as the board's regulation specialist. You may notice throughout the agenda that we have 2 different names for a lot of the positions. CalHR implemented a generalist classification consolidation project in January of 2026. And so a lot of the classifications have been renamed. So until we get used to them, we are having the current name, which in this vacancy update was Analyst 3. With the previous name, which was a SSM1 specialist. So you'll kind of see that throughout the report until we get used to it. So it's just a little adjustment for everyone. And then for staff training, we had a leadership empowerment work group the beginning of December, where all of our managers got together and had training and lunch. And it was a really good day for team building. For the budget, we are in a surplus currently, and our months in reserve is 19.9 currently. Does anybody have any questions on admin or budgets?
I have a question. I have a question. Actually, what I have is informational involving DCA and how we work together. I assume our board does not have a staff controller or accountant as a position?
No.
Okay, so in that case, DCA basically does all of the work from deposits to receivables and payables and everything for our board?
They automatically make some of our payments, and some of the bills come through us. We do have a staff person that is like our budget person.
Oh, okay.
Who kind of make sure that things are getting paid and whatnot. So it's kind of a joint effort, but more on the side of DCA.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Again, I think that's great. We couldn't hire the staff with the background to do what we wanted to do financially, where DCA not there.
Right.
So that's okay. But I just didn't know how they report. Do they report in daily of balances in accounts and payables done?
No. And even the spreadsheets that we get spreadsheets every month that are updated, but we don't get projections every month.
Right.
From DCA because they have other boards and bureaus like Shelley was talking about under their purview as well. So we don't always get those budget projections every month, but we do get an updated spreadsheet with all of our expenses and expenditures and revenue.
But annually, we negotiate a budget through DCA?
The budget comes from the governor's office.
Oh.
The total number. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And then, yes.
Com-
Yes, it's very complicated. All right. Any other questions so far? No? Okay. So then for licensing exams, we have 6 vacancies currently. We're recruiting for a staff service manager 1, an associate government program analyst, a staff service analyst, a limited term program technician, and 2 seasonal clerks. For examinations, the barber pass rate went up 1%, but cosmetologist was down 2%. And this is based on Q1 fiscal year 2025 to Q2 fiscal year 25-26. I don't know what I said the first time. It's Q1 25-26 compared to Q2 25-26. We receive about 114 emails a day, and our response time is between 1 and 2 days. So that's been fairly consistent.
I'm sorry, Carrie. How are we have a Q2 comparison when we're not in Q2?
We are in Q2. We're currently in Q3.
Oh, I forget.
Yeah.
Okay, for those that don't know, can we break down what that looks like what the quarters
So,
are?
yes, so
please?
Q1 of 25-26 would have been July, August, September. Q2 of fiscal year 25-26 would have been October, November, December. Q3 is January, February, March. Q4, April, May, June.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. We received 13,511 applications during the Q2 of fiscal year 25-26, which is a decrease of about 13%, which is expected in that quarter due to the holidays. The establishment applications received remains consistent with previous years, as you can see in the chart. Licenses issued was 7,837, which is a decrease of 17% from the Q1 of 25-26. And our current license population is 664,120. The next page shows the applications received by application type. And then we come into our written exam portion of the program. And you will see that overall, barbers are at 58% pass rate, cosmetologists 62%, estheticians 77%, as well as manicurists. Electrologists are at 67%, and hairstylists are at 50%. By pathway to licensure, the apprentice program continues to have an overall pass rate of 40%. The barber is 43% for apprentices compared to school pass rate, which is 62%. And cosmetologists for apprentices is 36%, and for schools is 66%. Out of country, it has an overall pass rate of 43%. And then, does anybody have any questions on the pass rates?
Well, not so much on the pass rates, but do we know what percentages of our new licensees are reciprocity?
There are what was the question again? What a percentage of what? Sorry.
Of new licensees are reciprocity. Oh, there it is.
The reciprocity applications received, you'll see on page 7. So that will give you a little bit of an idea. Not that they all are approved, right? But we can add a portion to the agenda next time that breaks that number out for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let me see what else we got here. We talked about licenses issued. We talked about the license population. I'm on page 15, which is our survey results. And this people who are reporting on the survey have said 46% of them have, establishments that reported what types of people work in their establishments, 46% have reported that independent contractors are working in their establishments. For people who have said that they work full-time in California, that's 30% of our respondents. And of those full-time employee workers, 38% report their employees and 42% report that they're independent contractors. Part-time respondents state that 30% of them are employees and 61% are independent contractors.
You know, I was looking at this the other day, and I think part of the confusion when asking this question, because in California, when you ask a booth renter, it's like they are considered independent contractors. So there's really not a distinction for many salon owners to say that they have a booth renter because they're really an independent contractor. And I've seen this be 0% for a while. And I think if that's one of the questions, that's one of the reasons why, because a booth renter is considered an independent contractor. They're not it's not, yeah. So the question is, it's as an owner, salon owner, my booth renters don't work for me. They're independent contractors.
Okay.
So I will never classify them as a booth renter. I always classify them as independent contractors. And speaking to other salon owners, it's the same mentality that we don't have booth renters, we have independent contractors.
Okay, I think we can update that so that that's more clear.
Okay.
And then it doesn't cause confusion. Okay. And then for DRC, we have 117 pending in the south and 47 pending in the north. And we have Burbank DRC hearing scheduled for April 20th and 21st. We currently have no vacancies in our DRC unit. Does anybody have any questions on DRC or licensing before I move on?
I'm going to keep saying this, that I encourage everyone to participate, even if it's from a spectator point. In DRC at some point while you sit on the board, it's very educational, and it will definitely open your eyes up to a little bit broader inside of the industry, especially if you're not an industry member. It's very good education. You get to meet some interesting people there.
And we have DRC tomorrow here in Sacramento as well. It'll just be morning. It'll be a quick one. So if you want to come, you should be here early.
Because we move it
Okay.
right along.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to move on to enforcement. We currently have 4 vacancies: a staff service manager, a associate government program analyst / staff service analyst, one special investigator, and 1 inspector, 1 or 2. We received 1,728 complaints in the second quarter of fiscal year 25-26, which is 7% decrease from the previous quarter. And we have 102 cases at the Attorney General's office and 85 active cases for probation, with 115 total probationers. Let's see about that. We revoked 7 licenses last quarter, and we put 5 people on probation, and we denied 1 license. There are currently 273 approved schools, and we opened 44 school cases last quarter, and we currently have 43 open school complaint cases. We conducted 487 inspections in December of 2025 with 16 inspectors. Our days to process our citations is 1, which is fabulous, which we should always expect now. Our new mobile inspection program is working fabulously, if I do say so myself. We still have some bugs we're working out, but it's moving along really nicely. In the quarter 2 of fiscal year 25-26, we issued 1,203 citations. And there was a total of, in that quarter, there was 1,517 inspections total. So the previous number I gave was just for December, but for the total quarter is 1,517 inspections. The request for payment notices, we sent out 1,573 requests for payment notices last quarter, which is on trend for what we've been doing. And our bucket is down to, I think, 200 of our older ones. And so we are almost caught up to where we are just working on current requests for payment notices. So that process is working fabulously. And then for payment plans, we have 158 currently, which is an increase from the previous quarter, which is great. I don't think enough people take advantage of that program. If your fine is over $500, you are eligible for a 12-month payment plan. We did have to cancel 17 of them last quarter, which is unfortunate because people were not complying with the payment plan agreement that they signed. And then that prevents them from having a payment plan in the future.
Can I make a quick statement? It's really amazing when you think about it, of our 55,000 or whatever it is establishments, and then the giant number of licensees we have, that disciplinary outcomes are so few. I mean, we're talking about problems in our industry that we've been able to pinpoint of the 1/100% of our total population, which can be viewed as being very positive, that the general population, licensed population, is adhering to everything that's needed. Yeah.
They do. They take our notes when they're educated in the field. They learn when they get cited for the most part. The majority of people that are disciplined have been, or sent to the AG's office for discipline, have been cited multiple times for the same violation. And that's why they're going to be disciplined. Consumer harm cases are up a little bit, but we're hoping with the increased discipline and visibility that those will go back down. But yes, for the percentage of people that are disciplined for the population that we have, we're very lucky. Yes. Okay. All right. Any more questions on enforcement? No? Okay. So outreach update, we went to Premier Anaheim Trade Show on February 1st and 2nd. Tanya joined us there. It was a fabulous show. We had a great time. Listed below that are our listservs. And the social media following is 14,200 on Instagram, 897 on X, 23,000 on Facebook, 53 followers on our Spanish Facebook, and then 272 followers on our Vietnamese Facebook. I'm always hoping those numbers will go up, everybody out there. Because for the population that we have, we don't have a lot of hits on that. So I hope that that goes up in the future. For our strategic plan update, the pre-apprentice training course went live on July 1st, 2025. And we're currently working with the vendor to get the Spanish version of the course online, which we're getting really close to. We've been having some back and forth just about some verbiage. So I'm hoping that that will be available in the near future. And then our quarterly newsletter, the Barber Cosmo Update, is expecting our 11th issue in February 2026. So like next week. Okay. And then we've included anything that we're still working on for a strategic plan. And then we will be working with DCA because our strategic plan is through 2027, which is coming up on, as quickly. And so we will be working with DCA to get a new strategic plan. Okay, any questions? Okay.
I know,
So
I'm
we'll
sorry.
go
I
to-
was making sure I didn't have any comments there.
Okay.
Thank you, Carrie, for those updates. Now we're going to go to public comment in person. If you have any public comments on the agenda item number 7, please come forward. No, Fred? All right, moderator, please open up to public comment online.
All right, WebEx, now's the time to raise a hand on agenda item 7. You can do that by tapping a hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a moment longer to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. I can move on to 8, right? Yes. Okay. Moving on to agenda item number 8, update on our 2026 sunset review process. I will turn the meeting back over to Carrie.
Okay, so for our sunset, our meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, March 10th, which is coming up really quickly. Next week, we'll be working with DCA to do a mock hearing. So we're super excited about that.
I will be attending that.
Yes, and then after we have the hearing, we're going to have to respond to any questions that the legislature has. And those will need to be approved by the board before we send them back. And I believe we have 30 days. So just kind of put in the back of your minds, we might be having a board meeting very early April. Okay. Okay. And that's my update for the board meeting.
All right, do we have any public comment on, on the sunset review process? Nope. All right, moderator, open up to online comment, please.
WebEx, time to raise a hand on agenda item 8. If you'd like to make a comment, tap that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a moment now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 9, review of the Spanish examination pass rates. I will hand it back over to Carrie.
During our last board meeting, members expressed their concerns about the Spanish pass rates and requested a diff review and also to review the questions to see if there was any questions that people were having more difficulty in Spanish answering than in English. So as a result of this discussion, this memo was put together. And you can see through the background that the board has historically seen low passage rate for examinations taken in the Spanish language. So we have a little bit of data here from fiscal year 9 through 10, all the way through the fiscal 12 through 13. And we've also provided current data for the last 10 years on page number 2. And you can see that the California school barbers had a 64% pass rate in 2025 when taking the exam in English, but the Spanish test takers have a 41% pass rate. And then the English, I'm just going to go through 2025. You can see the historical data kind of goes up and down a little bit, but the numbers are fairly consistent. So English apprentice candidates in barbers is 47%, and then 23% for Spanish apprentice barbers. And then out of country, the scores are even less, which is 25% for barber candidates and 15% for Spanish. For cosmetology school candidates, English have a 69% pass rate and 30% for Spanish. Apprentice is 46% for the cosmetologist, and Spanish 27% for the cosmetology. And then out of country is 45% English and Spanish is 16%. When we dove into the data further, there was 306 individuals who attended approved California school and took the examination in Spanish. And then you can see that of those schools, 130 candidates that attended a school approved to teach in Spanish failed. So even though they went to a school that taught in Spanish, there were still 130, which is almost 50% failed. And 62 attended a school that's not approved to teach in Spanish of those that failed. And then of those that failed, 7 attended a school that's now closed. And then 15 of the 306 went to a public school that failed. 63% of cosmetology candidates that took the examination in Spanish attended a school approved to teach Spanish, and 61% of the candidates that failed the Spanish exam attended a school that was approved to teach in Spanish. And for barbering, 189 individuals took, went to approved school and took the exam in Spanish. Of those, 42 attended a school that was approved to teach in Spanish, but they still failed. 65 of those that failed attended a school that's not approved to teach in Spanish, and 4 attended a school that's now closed, and none of the barbers that failed attended a public school. 55% of barber candidates that took the examination in Spanish did not attend a school that was approved to teach in Spanish. It's unknown if these schools are teaching in Spanish without approval from BPP, or if the education that is being taught in English and the candidate is choosing to take the exam in Spanish, right? So the board does not have any information on whether apprentices are taking the exam in Spanish receive any of their education in Spanish. And then for PSI, so the diff review, the differential item functioning study was performed by PSI, who's our exam vendor. And they evaluated whether the test items function comparably for test takers who completed the exam in English versus those that completed the exam in Spanish. A small number of items were flagged after undergoing this review and targeted for linguistic and content review.
That's good.
There was very few. So, which is good, but then also unfortunate because it's not something that is the problem that we can fix, right?
And I think that that was our biggest issue, was one of the things was making sure that the language was transferable into common Spanish, not, conversational Spanish or, yeah. So, I mean, I saw this and I thought, but.
And unfortunately, every time that we have looked at the data for the Spanish, we go into it like, okay, maybe this is where we can find a problem. Maybe this is where we can find the problem. And every time it's like, no, there's no smoking gun, unfortunately.
When I first started on the board several years ago, in my first board meeting, the thing that shocked me the most was the Spanish language pass rate. And all the years since then, we're real good at showing these statistics that it's bad. We're good at showing the what, but not the why. We really haven't zeroed in on the why. We just show but look, well, let's look at it from this perspective, and it's all pretty bad.
But that just means that there is no one why. That just means basically that overall, the population itself this is where the learning curves are. Because if there was a smoking gun, if there was a question that everybody missed, it would be a red flag, right? So that's the troubling.
But doesn't that mean we will never answer this question? I mean,
It
that's not
possibly could
acceptable.
mean that. And then you have to remember that the board is just not in the business of quality of education, right? That's BPPE's
Right.
purview.
Right.
And I don't know if they've done any reports or any dive into this, see if they can figure it out either. But then also, there's so many different countries that speak Spanish, and there's so many different nuances to every, where you come from. So, for example, if we were to take an exam in London in English, they use different terms than we use, and we might not do as well as we think we might, right? Even though it's in English. So that could be part of the issue as well.
One of the other that plays into that is going to be interrupted education as well as formal education. So if a test taker comes from another country, but their formal education was interrupted, that could have been for months, it could have been for years, or formal education may not look like what it looks like here. That's also going to play a part.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if any of the 44 open school cases are any of the schools that were approved to teach in Spanish, or if there's any correlation between the cases against 44 schools right now and the schools that are heavily involved in the low pass rates. Just curious.
We can Yeah. We can look into that. We can look at BPP's website to see which schools are approved to teach in Spanish, because that's not something that we do either. And see, most of the complaints that we get from consumers or students regarding schools are about sometimes health and safety, but a lot of it's like contractual issues that are not in our purview either. And so rarely do I recall seeing a complaint that alleged that a Spanish speaker wasn't getting the education that they thought they should. But then they might not know who to complain to either, right? So
Wouldn't,
that could be another
wouldn't they
issue.
come to both? So maybe we should talk to them more about what are they seeing? What's their reasoning for these low numbers? Can they be blamed on the school? I'm like a black and white guy in this. I'm at the point of having so many years looking at this question. I just need to know, this is the reason, this is the three reasons, whatever it is. We need something definitive.
I think one of the things that I found as an educator is that oftentimes it's not the educator, it's how we take in education, right? So a lot of times people learn, like if you're an auditory learner and your teacher teaches visual, but you don't know how to speak up and how to make that adjustment for yourself. So you just kind of go along with it. I find myself as an educator, even in my salon, having to, in the middle of educating something, having to switch hats sometimes. And depending on the size, depending on what's going on, that's not always feasible to the learning environment, right? So that could be another factor in there, is that depending on how people learn will determine if they pick the right school for them. And once you get into these programs, it's not easy to switch to another program, because once you've paid money, got approved for financial aid or whatever it is, you're kind of stuck with how they teach.
That would be true for Hispanics and non-Hispanics.
It would be true for both, right? But what I'm saying is sometimes it's a little bit more difficult on the Spanish speaking, because you're trying to take someone whose formal education is conversational Spanish and break it down to Long Beach Spanish, when 75% of people in your group don't speak that. You know what I mean? So I'm with you. Like, I want to answer to this.
I think
This is
we
my
all want
baby
an
right
answer.
here. But
We all want an
the
answer.
reality of it is, when you look at something like this, it's all over the place. There's no definitive answer to this one population.
And when we look at the numbers, like for cosmetologists, first-time test takers in English, last quarter we had 1,600 candidates, right? But for Spanish, we had 160 candidates. So there's not as many people in the pool to kind of balance out, the number that are failing with a number that are passing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like even more like glaring, because the population that we're looking at that's taking the exam and that language is so small. That doesn't make it right? And that doesn't mean that there still might not be an answer, but that,
I'd like to hear what the logic of the schools are on this. I would love to hear from someone that maybe could be out there today, maybe kind of right in this general area of my vision here, of what their thoughts are. I think that might be interesting for us to listen to.
but the schools also don't have control over what language the candidates take the exam in either. So I could have a school that I only teach in English, yet I could have X amount of students who take the exam in Spanish and I never taught it in Spanish. So, and vice versa, right? So, yeah, so the schools might not have a idea either.
And it's not like you mentioned, quality and BPPE as well aren't in the business of, yeah. Quality.
Sorry,
yeah.
Sabina can't say that. They don't care. But when I say they don't care, it's they provide a service. They provide a service. the people come to them for a service. And yeah, there are safeguards in place that they should be following up with, but we've seen over and over and over and time again that so many things are falling through the cracks because are they policing the schools that are teaching in Spanish? Should they be teaching in Spanish? Like, are those checks and balances there? We'll never get a full answer on that, but test results show a little bit different that they're probably not.
Well, yeah, and PPPE might not even realize how many students are taking the exam in Spanish because we're the ones that have that data,
Right, and they're not tracking it, right?
right? Yeah. So, yes.
Which is why we are fighting to,
Yeah, I
to
do-
bring this under one umbrella so that we can, because at the end of the day, we want to best serve our clients. Who are our clients? The licensees, right? And as we see with all these different hands in the pot, something just as simple as this, we can't get an answer to because we have other agencies that are involved.
Work.
We already working. Whatever you about to say, we already working on it, Steve.
You're talking to them seriously about, can we supply you with this if you investigate it and supply us with an answer?
And sunset is a process to gain more control and oversight over those schools.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, that's great.
And guess who gets to go to Sunset?
Congratulations.
President.
Well, I have to commend this board and all of the due diligence and all of the breaking down of the data. Well, we're really trying to figure this issue out. And I too have been witness to it for years. And I just am really proud of the board for trying everything they can to figure this one out. And I have faith that someday we will have authority and be able to implement some more changes.
And I think the first step is coming now in sunset to try to lay that foundation.
I
Be
really,
one of our biggest arguments
yes.
at sunset. I assume it is.
I do appreciate all the data that we put together. Thank you. I know that was a lot of hard work. I think what at least we're learning is there is a structural issue here and it's causing some people not to be able to access the industry. So again, yeah, there is going to be overlap to another board for that, but I see later in the recommendations, I think I'll get you there, but maybe sharing a little bit more about the recommendations, that looks interesting.
Okay, yes. Just a couple of things. I just wanted to point out because we talked about like who the schools are choosing to enroll in their programs is also another issue. They should be admitting students that are qualified or who appear to have a reasonable prospect of completing the program. So they do have an obligation there. Also, the schools do, right? To have students who will be successful, right?
And that falls under BPPE.
That falls under BPPE, that's correct.
And part of that's very difficult for us to have a hand in, right? If they're not, and we also don't know how they use, what tools to evaluate that.
Well, for for-profits, they're for-profit schools, so you know where they're going to come out.
Yeah, yes.
And I think that's what makes it even more difficult, right? It's like we know that this standard of or the process exists, but we also know that the process doesn't exist, right? So again, which is, yeah, I couldn't have said it better, Sabina. But which is what makes it so difficult, which is why when I started this plight years ago, just my heart goes out because we have some people who really could benefit from the program, but the oversight is lacking. And because the oversight is lacking, the schools aren't being held responsible for quality of education, for the vetting process. And then when we get them, we get these, pass and fail rates, and then everybody hates the board because you guys made the test too hard, or you know what I mean? So just being able to have it all under one umbrella just makes so much sense, right? And this is one of those things. So.
Okay, and so the board has no authority over student enrollments or admission standards and therefore cannot provide additional data on this topic. The recommendations are that the board staff are going to be holding a town hall meeting with the examination vendor and all schools and apprentice program sponsors. And during this town hall, the Spanish exam will be discussed and guidance will be provided to the attendees on ideas how to increase test scores. And then in the sunset, which we've talked about, that the board is asking for additional oversight. And if granted, the board can look into the type of education. The information that PSI was able to provide can give a breakdown of which areas of the Barber exam that the Spanish test takers aren't doing as well as the English test takers are doing. And so it can help the schools like maybe increase their focus in those areas so that their candidates will do better in the exam moving forward. And so they've provided a lot of information, so that will be helpful.
And when is that town hall meeting?
I believe it's April 13th. We do have a schools town hall scheduled for April 13th.
Okay. Is there a virtual? Yeah, where
It
is?
will be virtual. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Can we
Send it out.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can send it out to you guys. So if you guys want to listen in, that's totally an option.
I would love to. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
there'll be a listserv that goes out to all interested parties. No, I take that back. There will be a email that will go out to the schools. And then we can include the board members in that if they want to listen. Yes, yes. And the apprentice program sponsors will also be included in that. So they can focus their training or exam prep questions or whatever for that. Okay? Any more questions? No? Maybe from the public.
I guess I can open up to public comment. We now open up to public comment in person.
Hello, board members. Fred Jones, Professional Beauty Federation of California. This has indeed been a long issue. I will say I've spoken with a number of Spanish provided instruction schools who actually recommend their students take it in English because they don't trust the translation. There's also a lot of different forms of conversational Spanish being spoken in California. So there are issues beyond our control in doing this. I will say historically, before some of you were on, all of you were on the board, in fact, we used to have aggregate scoring of our licensing exam. And that kind of compensated or even hid this underlying problem. I'm not sure I'd call it a literacy problem, but it's a problem to get written language that all Spanish students can understand. And it's not just understand the language, but translate it into barbering and cosmetology speak. There are procedures and other things that are really unique to our industry, that there aren't very good words or phrases in Spanish that we use and we take for granted, those of us in the industry every day. But so historically, when we had aggregate scoring, these students still ended up passing because their practical scores made up the difference. And the statute, which is still in the book, says for purposes of scoring the licensing exam, practical demonstration shall prevail. Actually, it's no longer on the books when we did away with the practical exam. But that's how the law was written, because it was an acknowledgement that this is a dexterity, hands-on based artistic industry. It's not accountants and lawyers. And so we lost that focus when we gave up the practical exam and when we gave up weighting the practical exam more than the written exam. So that's kind of the history, but taking a big step back, you have a bunch of students spending money and a lot of time, and a majority of them can't get licensed after all of that money and time. That's a big problem. This board, through its examination process, sends a lot of money to PSI. I remember NIC, when you were contracting with them,
30 seconds.
would bring people here and you could ask them questions. You should demand the same now of PSI. There's the experts, the psychometricians. So let's partner with them, given the amount of money they get from your examinees. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say Christy's listening in and wanted me to tell you guys, the PSI Town Hall for Schools already happened. It was on February 9th, and that discussed all the changes to the exam that are happening in April. But we will have a town hall as well on April 13th that I can send you guys as well. And that's just with board, school administrator, and apprentice programs on more board information.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Fred. Do we have any more public comment? No. Moderator, we would like to open up to public comment online.
All right, WebEx, now's the time to raise a hand for public comment. You can do that by tapping the hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial in users at dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few more seconds to see if we have an online request for public comment. Seeing no online requests, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you. Moving on to agenda item number, we're on 10, right? Yes, 10. I will turn the meeting back over to Carrie.
Okay. For regulation updates, the interpreter CCR section 931 became effective on January 1st. So that allows interpreters to use, allows exam candidates to use an interpreter once every year as opposed to once every 2 years, which was the previous version of the law. The disciplinary guidelines, the final regulation proposals being drafted by staff. The 991 for reciprocity regulation proposals being prepared by staff. And then the regulations that are pending further development are our apprenticeship regulations, schools and externs, remedial education program, and health and safety. And that's all for that.
Any public comment on agenda item number 10? No. Moderator, please open to public comment on agenda item number 10.
All right, WebEx, time to raise a hand for agenda item 10. If you'd like to make a comment, tap that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial in users at dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few more seconds to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no requests, do you wish to continue?
Yes, thank you. Now moving on to agenda item number 11, which is public comment items not on the agenda. We will only be taking comments for items that have not been previously discussed. Please remember to limit your comments to 3 minutes, as the board is not able to respond to your comments. So we will open up to public comment. No public comment in the audience. All right, moderator, open to public comment online, please.
All right, WebEx, we're open for public comment on agenda item 11. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial in users at dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few more seconds to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you, moderator. Moving on to agenda item 12, suggestions for any future agenda items. Board members, do you have any suggestions for any future agenda items? Please don't. All right. Thank you. Now that the board is silent today, this is a first in probably 4 years that it's been.
Before we adjourn, though, could I say something?
I was going to open up to public before.
Oh,
we
okay,
adjourn.
go ahead. Go do that.
Is that okay?
I like to jump in.
Do we have any public comment for future agenda items that are not on our list? Moderator, will you please open up to public comment?
All right, WebEx, if you have a suggestion for a future meeting, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial in users at dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a moment longer to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, do you wish to continue?
Yes, thank you. Oop. Board members, I want to say thank you. I think this is the shortest meeting we've had in probably 4 years.
Have a good time. Yeah.
I think we've gotten ourselves ready for a sunset review. So, you know, we've hashed out quite a bit, but I want to first say thank you. Appreciate you guys all for allowing me another year to serve you. If you guys have anything you want to say really quick before we adjourn, Steve does, I'm sure.
Usually, I would just like us as a board to adjourn today in honor of our executive officer's ill family member, wishing her well from the entire board.